Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's been some time since my last comparison video where I put two games head to head to find out which one is better. Last time I did this, I compared Endspace and Anshar Wars on the Gear VR to see which offered the best VR space combat experience. This time I'm taking a look at only one game, but on two different platforms. Yes, I'm talking about the magic dueling game set in an alternate reality Victorian-era London. I'm talking about Wands. Wands was first released on the Gear VR back in August 2016, and what a journey it's been. I started playing shortly thereafter, and in those days it was damn hard to find opponents, which is kind of a big deal in a multiplayer-only title. The community was small but dedicated, spurred on by the sheer awesomeness of the game. The incredibly detailed levels and flashy spells were a spectacular sight, but the longevity in this game didn't come from the graphics or sounds. Don't get me wrong, this is still one of the best-looking mobile VR games around. If you know a little about the Unity engine and the limitations of mobile systems, you know getting the game looking this good and playing this smoothly is no trivial task. Between the slick textures and the models with just enough polygons, everything really comes together. The sounds are fantastic as well. From the pulse-pounding music that kicks in for the last minute of the match, to the ratchet sounds of your wands, to the beating of your own heart at low health, it's all designed to draw you into this world. But it was the well-balanced offensive and defensive spells, as well as the amazing level design that kept us coming back. Right from the beginning, this was far more than a simple deathmatch set in some R-rated Harry Potter fanfiction universe. As you played, you discovered the intricacies of the game mechanics. You learned what each spell did, what spells countered what other spells, and learned to exercise patience and timing to make the most of your slowly recharging mana supply. You developed a playstyle. You tested a new spell loadout, found one that worked for you, and then continued to tweak and change as you played different opponents. It was, and still is, engaging and tactical, and takes a special blend of spell knowledge, strategic thinking, and quick reflexes to play well. Since launch, a lot has happened. The team at Nook Studios has done anything but sit back and relax, and have released multiple patches where they fixed bugs and made graphical updates. But perhaps the most important updates have been the adjustments to the game balance. Spell cost, damage dealt, recharge duration, level design, and more have been tuned and retuned to hone the game to a razor's edge. The developers have kept in close contact with their player community since launch, and they've listened to complaints and suggestions. It's not an easy thing to do, but they've done it with grace and style, and the improvements continue to roll out. In December last year, Wands was released for the brand new Google Daydream platform. Even comparing these two versions side by side, it's pretty hard to tell which version belongs to which platform, made a little easier here by the difference in video recording quality. First, the environments are identical. The workshop, as well as the three stages, look exactly the same, not only in layout, but also in graphical detail. Wands is meant to be cross-platform, that is, Daydreamers can duel with gearheads, so of course the stages will be the same. And the mobile hardware, while using a couple different processors, have similar levels of computing power. In fact, I'm going to make this easy and just tell you almost everything is identical, or essentially identical, between the Gear VR and Daydream versions. Graphics, sounds, spells, stages, special effects, almost everything. Both versions have leaderboards too, though the leaderboards are kept separate to each platform. Yes, just about everything is identical, except for the part that arguably matters the most. And that would leave us with the controls. On the Gear VR, you look to aim, and you can either use the integrated touchpad or a Bluetooth gamepad to open your spell selector and cast spells. This look to aim mechanic is not unique to Wands, but it is very precise. With a little practice, the shots line up almost without thought. Touchpad and gamepad users were mostly on equal footing, with gamepad users possibly at a slight advantage, since the spell selector could be brought up with a button press instead of a swipe, but this is ultimately splitting hairs. The point is, aiming your shots was never an issue on the Gear VR, at least I don't recall anybody complaining about it. The Daydream version makes use of the Daydream motion controller, and it looks amazing. In the workshop you have a stylized controller model, but in the match your controller is replaced by a wand, and not just a wand, but the wand you've constructed with your spells on it. After months of the look-to-aim gameplay, being able to hold the wand up and look at it was a sight to behold. The health and mana gauges on the sides of the wand are also quite useful if you can remember to look at them in a firefight. Unfortunately, this is where the problems creep in. First, the Daydream controller is notorious for drifting in the yaw axis. In a fast-paced game like Wands, where precision is key to survival, having an inconsistent point of aim makes life difficult. You can hold the home button to recenter, but this resets the camera orientation too, often making you look at a wall with your back to your opponent. Second, even without the drift, the anchoring of the controller game object is a little strange. I won't describe it in detail, but the end effect is that, depending on where you're looking, your wand will either be in your left hand, right hand, sticking through your chest, or directly in front of you. This wouldn't be a problem except that it too affects your ability to aim, since your point of aim is anchored at the controller. The wand in the Daydream version is very cool. Very, very cool. But the problems introduced by the motion controller give an edge to the Gear VR players. It's a poor craftsman who blames his tools, and I'll admit I've spent a lot more time with the Gear VR version than the Daydream. After a few hours of practice, using the controller to aim gets noticeably easier, and casting spells this way is more immersive than the look to aim method. But even if you get used to the placement of the wand controller, that would still leave the unpredictable drift and recentering issues. Even though this problem isn't specific to this game, the nature of the gameplay in Wands means the drift will be very noticeable. It's been suggested by others in the forums to make a look-to-aim option for the Daydream version, and I think that would go a long way to leveling the playfield, and they could still keep the super cool wand model. Since this is a multiplayer game, I'm compelled to consider this from a competitive angle, and framed that way, the Gear VR has the slightly better version. Casting spells with the wand you're actually holding is fantastic, and is exclusive to the Daydream version for the time being, but when it interferes with player performance, it makes it hard to support. This disparity of control is likely why there exist two separate leaderboards, one for Gear VR and one for Daydream, despite all players being able to duel each other. So you're probably wondering, even with these issues, is Wands for Daydream still worth playing? Absolutely. It's great fun on either platform, and the player base is large enough now that finding somebody to duel is quite easy. But if Wands ever reaches esports level, the pros won't be using a motion controller, or at least not this one. However, keep in mind this is Wands we're talking about. Over the last 7 months, I've become convinced that the developers at Nux Studios know exactly what they're doing with this game, and that they won't let anything jeopardize the success of this title. I'm confident that they'll find a solution to these issues, and that they'll defend Wands' spot as the best mobile VR multiplayer game around. So, let's watch the wizards work their magic. Thanks for watching! Got something to say about this video, an opinion of the game itself, or VR in general? Leave a comment to let me know what you think. And if you like what you saw and you want to see more of this, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Remember, there's a new video every week, and be sure to check out my other reviews as well. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.